Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to wherever you're watching or listening from. My name is Jamie Robinson, and welcome to episode 295 of the Wakefield Trinity Heritage Podcast, proudly sponsored by the New Inn Pub and Restaurant in Walton. And we're back again for our monthly fans forum with some great guests on as well. But before we bring them on, let me introduce my co host, my dad, Lee Robinson. How are we doing, Dad?
Hello, yes, and welcome to our seventh fans forum of the season, not only in podcast form but also on YouTube. 2026 with 20 matches in, 14 wins, 12 in the league, fourth place in the league after 17 rounds, and what a great June and early July we've had.
Yeah, and with our guest on today, Erin is back as usual, and we've got Chris and Peter who've been on a couple of times before as well. So yeah, 5 games since our last fans forum, so a lot of action to talk about. And I'll just give you a brief overview before we bring on our guest. Hull KR at home, brilliant win, seems a lifetime ago now, but we beat Hull KR at home 26-24. We followed that up with an absolute blitz against Wigan. We lost 48-10. Beat Hull FC away 36-10. Huddersfield at home 29-23. And the Magic Weekend a couple of days ago against Castleford 48-6. Erin, do your best, mate. Sum up those four wins and a loss against Wigan.
Uh, Good in it. I cop for that. I think we had a discussion, didn't we? And I was a bit on the fence, maybe two out of because I think we only thought we'd go. We didn't know if we'd do this before or after Magic, so we said two. I said two out of the four. But that old KR game, by golly, we were good, weren't we? From minute one, really, we came out with that grit and determination we've been asking for. Because they didn't, it's not that they didn't try. It were a nail biter till the very end, till it was Lino wanted that got over at the end. It's such a shame how much we slipped during that Wigan game. I don't really know what the cause of that was. Sometimes you come out and you just know within the first sort of 5 minutes, it's not our day today. But the other games, I've thought, yeah, do you know what? This will be our day. And I mean, the game at Magic, I think that's probably a 79-minute performance that we've had. Barring that last minute where we let that try in, and the cast player didn't even do a celebration, so it wasn't even any money for charity. We let him score right at the end. So, but I think it's a really, really good sort of example of where we're at. We can Huddersfield a bit different, but we can beat the lower teams, and we can compete quite well with the bigger teams. So yeah, pretty good for me. I'd say a solid 8 out of 10. Just because if you're doing in twos, the -2 for Wigan.
I like it. I like it. And Peter, it's a really brain scrambling time period to be supporting Wakefield, isn't it? We've beat the champions, the current champions, 26-24. We've beat Hull FC away, which we've never had a good result. We've beat our rivals Cast by an absolute hammering at 48 points, and Huddersfield have been our bogey team for a long time at home by 29-23. It's just, and it's all relatively quite nice and comfortable, isn't it? It's just a really weird time to be a Wakefield fan.
Absolutely, and especially we've all supported for a while, but some of us have supported a long time, and over that time you just get used to, we do okay a couple of games, and then we get a little bit of momentum. We think we've got confidence, and then suddenly we get beaten by the bottom team or something, and even now sometimes, like when we went to Hull, I'm really nervous of playing Hull. We should really have been confident of beating them, but I were nervous and a little bit playing Cass at Millennium as well, Magic. I mean, sorry. Um, Inside, I knew that we were okay, but it's still that residual Trinity fan there thinking, we're going to mess this up. But I think it's a Powell thing. I think Powell's changed the mindset of the team that if we go behind, we're not down. We just play our same game again. Um, if we've got flaws in the team, he fixes them pretty quickly. We've got some injuries at the moment that have been hurting us, and seems to have. I mean, it's handy having Lackey back, but even Tate, I would not have put Tate down as being our centre who's going to, fix the problem, but he did really. So it's a good time to be a Trinity fan. There's no doubt about it, and even when we play Wigan and we get hammered, sometimes that's well, I'm not even sure in the past it's been devastating because we're just like, well, we would never have beaten them anyway. Whereas now we're actually disappointed because we think we could give that a good go. And the same with OKR next time. It's like we're playing the champions away. We shouldn't be confident of going there. We're Wakefield. Well, actually, I am quite confident of going there, to be honest. So, and I think they're going to be worried about us as well. So, it's a great time to be a Trinity fan. It's entertaining as well as winning rugby, if you know what I mean. Sometimes you grind out a win and that's it, but actually, they're really entertaining to watch as well. So, right across the board. So I'm loving it. I can't, like I said, even the Wigan game, my take on that in some ways is they did us a favour and highlighted some of our flaws that we might not have found if we hadn't played them that time. And we've got a chance to fix them before we get to that end of season run. So I don't even mind that.
And Chris, for anybody that's not listened to the podcast before, you're quite a new fan coming with fresh eyes to Trinity in the past couple of years, and you've got this overwhelming positivity that you sometimes laugh at us for being a little bit pessimistic on this podcast. But I mean, even obviously, we'll park the Wigan result for the minute. I think Wigan can do that to anybody on their day, but those 4 wins. Um, are just 4 really great wins from a battling, steady playoff team now, and that's what we are, aren't we? I think from your eyes, it must be. Oh well, that's what Wakefield Trinity is like now.
Yeah, I was like 2012, I think, was my first year. So I've been burnt, just not as badly burnt as you lot, basically. So yeah, I think I mean, yeah, joint second at the moment is on points. So that's kind of like when I was thinking you'd obviously be asking us how do you sum up these last few games, and it's kind of. I think on a match by match basis, it's like sporting gobbledygook a little bit. It's kind of goes from sublime to ridiculous, and a bit like Peter was just saying, you were saying before, it's a crazy time because I flip back to that the Wakey of old. We should be grateful that we're here, but I'm kind of like, no, I'm going to say like. The Wigan result, I was utterly devastated about that because we didn't turn up. Like we basically got bullied, and it was like men against boys. And I thought that Daryl's talked about identity, and he's still finding who we are, and he still keeps saying that regularly in like post-match press conferences. So I think ultimately we're fourth in the table. I've got no doubt in my mind that we'll finish in the playoffs. I think my overwhelming positivity, which must just be a DNA thing, I think there's no doubt we're good enough. The players are good enough to win the grand final, 100%. So I truly believe we can do that. You can see progress. So I think whilst these last few matches have been just like, how do you sum them up? Like that first 20 minutes of Huddersfield, and then the remainder of the Huddersfield game, Hull was generally really good in long periods. That yesterday was just utterly sublime. It was just, art at times, basically. The movement and the depth and the run and the shape and the speed of it was just absolutely superb. And then there's that Wigan game. And so it is a crazy time to be a Wakey fan, I think. But contextually, you sat there looking and you're like, we're joint second. We're only like 16 points behind Wigan in terms of points difference. So, like Daryl was saying, we wanted to try and score a few more, which is why we conceded, because they were trying to get more points because we could have gone second. So, which is just unbelievable. Like I say, I've got this still. I'm trying to just forget the past now and concentrate on the future and just say that Wigan result's not good enough. Like the Huddersfield result. Like the Huddersfield game, we shouldn't be playing like that and almost being like critical and harsh on us. But I still just keep looking at the table going, well, yeah, but we're second. You can't complain at all, can you? You know what I mean? So there's nothing to like moan about at all. But it is a crazy time. Like Daryl says, I think consistency keeps saying and identity he keeps talking about. And they're still not quite there. You can see this 5-year plan. And as long as we keep progressing, I think if we get a Wigan or whoever, the top 6 at the back end of the season when it really matters, I'd like us to see us turn it on then and go toe to toe properly with them, like we done with KR and like we did with Leeds earlier in the year and stuff. So just hedging more towards consistency, but crazy times. Yeah, from since I started supporting them, it's just like that yesterday. It's amazing how quickly you take it for granted. That yesterday was just unbelievable, wasn't it? And you just sat back and just going, yeah, well, this is us, isn't it? So yeah, wonderful times.
And Dad, we talk about every week on the back chats and the breakdowns and stuff, but the plain truth of it, like Chris says, there's 10 games to go and we're two wins off the league leaders at the minute. So we're still in with a shout of winning the league. We're in with a good chance of making the playoffs. There's still a lot to be talked about there. There's 7 teams really in contention for 6 spots now. But we've only lost 6 games all year. At the start of July, we've only lost 6 games. We've gone before. We've lost 6 in a row at the start of the year. So the fact again, we're in July. We've only lost 6 games, and we're competing at the top of the table. We know there's a lot of variables, and 10 games is a long time, especially in sport. But my God, we're in with a shout, aren't we, or something?
We are, and we've got to turn around. I've just been looking at the stats. We've won. We've played 17 and won 12. Against our fella top 6, we've only won 1. So we're 1-4 against Leeds, Warrington, Wigan, St Helens, Hull KR. The teams out of the 6, we can't fault it. We've played 12 and we won 11. We're 11 and 1 up against everybody else underneath us. It's just we've got a tough August coming. I know that's a month away. If we can do a job at Hull KR on Saturday, by golly, what we sort of set the cat amongst the pigeons. But I said that earlier on when we were playing Leeds and St Helens. So yes, yeah, we can challenge for the top, can't we? But Wigan and Leeds are just fighting a bit at the moment, aren't they? I reckon Warrington could be in free fall with the way they play and with their injuries. St Helens aren't great. So we were saying on the back chat a couple of days ago that Lee have got 7 home games in the last 10 and they're playing well. So if they sneak into the top 6, who's going to drop out? I don't think we will because I think we're too good. So I reckon Warrington and St Helens will start getting worried and they've got to come to us. They won't be looking forward to coming to us in August and September. Leeds have got to come to us. We've got to go off to Wigan and we've got to go to Hull KR. So yeah, we can't. When you look at what we've got, I'm usually a pessimistic. I've been a Trinity fan for 50 years, but I also cottoned on to what Chris said last month. We're a different animal. We're a different machine these days, aren't we? I went to Magic Weekend yesterday, and I sat there. When there were 42,900 there yesterday. Whether I don't, they weren't all in watching Wakefield, but the people we took yesterday, all in our shirts, all in our Magic Weekend shirts, all the music blaring, and I was looking at that big screen. The big screen looked like the size of our clubhouse, and it said Wakefield Trinity flashing away in red and white and blue. And I'm sat there, sort of a bit emotional, thinking, Jesus, wow, where have we come to? Yes, 18 months ago, 22.5 years ago, we were playing at Siddle and Whitehaven and Barrow and Dewsbury and Batley and Swinton. And then we got to Hull and St Helens and suddenly we're playing at Everton, which is brilliant. Next year we could be going to Dublin and the year after we could be going to Vegas. So it's just a bit of a pinching myself scenario of where we're going, where we've been, where we're going and where we're at. And just going back to the original question, if we can turn over some of these other top 6 teams, it's scary where we could end up.
Erin, we spoke about in the season preview fans forum podcast. I remember you explicitly saying you wanted 2 things. You wanted number 1, you wanted us to win the tight games because last year we lost too many games by 6 points or less, and you want us to beat the teams that we need to beat, which sounds really really obvious, but. Last year we lost to Castaway, didn't we, for example? And we lost a couple of easy games that we didn't need to lose. And then we went and started the season, lost it to Toulouse. But to be fair, since then, we've beaten every team that we should beat. And then we've gone and beat Hull KR and we beat Leeds in the Cup. Like Dad says, we just need to now start nibbling away at Wigan and Saints and so on, don't we?
I think if we'd have played Warrington now, a week, 2 weeks ago, we'd have given them a better game than we did at the start of the year. I don't think we'd gelled by that point, and that's why I think that Warrington game, when they come to us, that'll be a cracking game. Because like your dad says, they're on a bit of a free fall at the minute. They started off, they did every year. They literally say it's Warrington's year. They start off, they high fly, they get to Easter, they get to May, they get to June, and then they start dipping. And they do it. They've done it for years. I think Wakefield Trinity of even maybe last year would have lost that Huddersfield game. I know it were a damn fine bit of luck that he did that ball to us and we intercepted it. But the attitude of Wakefield of all we would have lost that game, because I truly think we was it 10 or 12-0 up and we got really complacent, and it's almost like we went, right, let's get into first gear. In fact, let's get into neutral and we're just going to cruise now. And Huddersfield spotted that and they went, nah, we're giving you a game here. The same with the OKR game. I think those types of games, we didn't have the grit, the sort of almost drive and the want to win them to the very end. So I think it's been a complete attitude switch this year. So that is just a really promising thing, because like, apart from the Huddersfield game, we've not been complacent when we've been playing. We have been driving to the very end. So I've been really pleased with that. And like you say about the teams we need to win, that Huddersfield game again could have been that one, because they've been, Jamie, same as me, Huddersfield have been that team that, my God, we've lost to more times than I can think of in our time of watching. There's just something about Huddersfield where we just never turn up. And I think it might be Saints now. And that could have been that game that we'd have gone at the end of the season. If it ends up being really tight for that 6, by God, how annoying that we didn't win that game. So I am really content with where we are attitude-wise at the moment. I think we'll curse the Toulouse game and we'll curse that first Warrington game come the end of the year, and the Saints away game, actually. Put those 3 down, they'll be the ones we'll come to at the end of the season and look and go, we could have won them ones. We should have tried a bit harder. But we've still got however many games to go. Is it, 10 games to go or something?
Yeah.
We can turn it on now. We've got a really hard August. We have got a hard August because we are playing all those teams that surround us. So what we need to do now is make sure we're beating Catalans away. Make sure we beat Cass when they come to us. Make sure that we beat Bradford away. Those 3 games, that even on Saturday, we need to beat OKR. We need to win these next 4. Because it's Catalans and then it's Leeds. We need to win these next 4. And I think that's 100. And you'll ask me later, but that's 100% doable. And I don't know if it's only because Chris is here that I'm saying that, and his positivity is brushing off on me and clearly your dad earlier. But I think we can win these next 4. And if we do, and we put a decent points difference on, because that's one of the things yesterday that we're going, let's get to 50. Let's get these. I think me and Darryl want the same wavelength yesterday. I'll get these point difference up, get it going, because that will be, it's so tight in that little gap between sort of 2nd and 5th. So yeah, I know I've waffled a bit, but I'm happy. So and when we're happy, I just talk a lot of rubbish.
Not wrong. That's why you're here, Erin. It's why this is basically known as the Erin Moore's Fans Forum now. So
there we go.
Exactly, superstar. Peter, we've briefly touched it before we move on to the next games. Are you pretty happy with how that 5 games has gone? Obviously, we've mentioned the Wigan loss, but going into these next 3, you're pretty happy with that?
Actually, just before we touch on that, I'm going to just pick up something Lee said before, and I will come back to that. But one thing about the change in Wakefield and all the things that happened, when I was first watching, and when it got to sort of like the early 80s, when it was a real boom time at the rugby for Wigan and Hull and people like that, we'd go, and I know this partly because Lee used to have a Hull shirt, but when you went to Hull, every single person in that stadium, whether it were a baby or an old lady, had a Hull shirt, and they were proud to wear it. And you could go to Wigan, and Wigan weren't quite the same, but they were the same. When you walked around Wakefield for a long time now, right up until recently, you saw Leeds shirts or Bradford shirts, and because we were a bit of a commuter for those places, and people weren't proud to wear Wakefield shirts. Now you can't move for people wearing Wakefield stuff, and they're also proud. The number of times I've walked around with something on the Wakefield, and someone said, "Hey, up the Trin," as they're walking past, And I think that's brilliant. And that's Daryl and Matt and the team and everybody, and all the things they've done have made people proud to back Wakefield. And I hope that continues forever. But that's a sea change from where it was before. But so I just wanted to say that, and I wouldn't have had a shirt before either, and I've got shirts now.
Would you say
So
in all your years, Peter, watching Trinity, would you say that's the first time you've really felt that camaraderie?
definitely, definitely. So you would always get some people at the game who wore a shirt, but not many, to be honest. There were hardened fans, and sometimes there were kids as well, and older people didn't wear. Older, as in 30s and 40s, didn't wear them. I don't think in all the time. Maybe in the 60s it did, but not. I come in the late 70s and onwards, and we definitely didn't see that at Wakefield. And more so, you might have seen some at the game. You definitely didn't see it around town. That's the thing. Outside of Bellevue, we definitely didn't see it there. You do now.
And I think
So
that's
that's part.
it's a fair shout, Peter, as well. It's not a knock on the previous regime, but the quality of gear we're putting out now as well. The Magic shirt, the home and away top, the training gear. They've got some really nice, even like polo tops and sweaters now as well. People are wanting to
Absolutely.
engage in it. Plus the actual the team's going well, so it always works, doesn't it?
No, I agree. So anyway, going back to your question, which I've kind of forgot, but I think you're talking about. You wanted to say what I felt about the games, and I kind of look at the individuals as well, and I like to see individuals getting better and better. Now, for me, there's a few standouts. The forwards as a whole, there's no doubt about it. They are absolutely dominating, and you almost feel obliged to say they're one of the best packs in the league. They're not. They're the best pack in the league. Absolutely. Even I think even Wigan, and they've got a different style to us. Um, but I think we head and shoulders, and the depth of that as well. We're quite lucky that we don't have any injuries. But like when Wigan were playing, everybody were going on about Mago coming on and being, we need somebody like that in our team. You forget that we've got Chaos in our team, who's an absolute game changer, and everybody else looks on him as being our guy. And I'm not sure we quite appreciate how good our pack is. And I would probably single out again the one that has kind of made the difference to that pack, because some of those players were playing last year and played all right, but Smoothie has got that team ticking really, really well. And when players run onto the ball, they're running onto a ball at speed, and the ball's right where they need it, and they know what they're doing. It's very organised. It gives them a step start every time. Whereas you used to have David Fafita, absolutely awesome runner, taking the ball stood still, and it was like even he couldn't make something out of that. So I think we need to appreciate what we've got. The backs are harder because we have had injuries there. So we've had some players where I'm a big Cam Scott fan, and he's had some games where people have judged him a little bit. But I think part of that is they were changing all the people around him because of injuries, and same with Truman. I think has been playing really, really well, but we keep changing his scrum half because people get injured, and so on and so on. And if we can get that back line settled a little bit, I think we'll jump on even higher than we are now. So it's very handy having Tom Johnston fit again, because again he's an international class player. There's no doubt about it. But and teams try and stay away from him sometimes and try not to do stuff, and he still makes loads of yards. So I just think we've played really well. I think we need to appreciate what we've got, and like I said, hopefully we'll pick up with probably the 3 injuries we've got in the backs. If they come back in the next few weeks, I mean, I know they're longer injuries, but they could be coming back just in time for the playoffs and the running. It would make it very, competitive, let's say, if not, an even stronger team. So I'm happy with that.
Good stuff. Talk about individuals, Chris. We'll come on to the player of the month from those 5 games. So the Hull KR, Wigan, Hull FC, Huddersfield, Castleford. We started doing this on the fans forums, and since we started, Azar Vangenhouse picked up a player of the month, and Caleb has done a bit of a sweep in the past 3 months. But who was your player of the month from those past 5 games for Trinity?
I mean, kind of touching on what we've been talking about, almost nobody really has a bad game these days. You know what I mean? It really stood out. I don't want to single Max out, but it was anomalous for him, but for the team to have somebody off the level, generally everybody, it's so difficult to pick, and I think that's reflecting, like, you guys pick somebody, Sky picks somebody different, and everybody's kind of watching the game and sort of picking up on, Lee always says about, your dad always says about sort of watching somebody with a camera and sticking on that one player like you've been doing with Smoothie. So, excuse me, it really, really difficult. I think Smoothie's just, after all that breakdown you've done, Jamie, which was fantastic. I've been watching him a lot more closely and appreciating a lot more the impact he has, because a lot of it's quite understated. But I think for me, just in terms of, and Caleb's a monster. There's nobody that I'd never criticise any of our players anyway. But I think for me, understated will get no attention for it at all. But the fact that we've not noticed and still been winning is Pitts going in at centre, which it is the stage of his career, the way he's done it. I know Powell loves, and I love the way we're getting all these utility players. You've almost got like 13 utility players. It's just absolutely awesome. Everybody just slipping into like second and third positions and stuff, and it's just brilliant. But I think just the way Pitts has done that, I think, because we were struggling, I saw Ollie Pratt yesterday. He was walking up to the ground, which is just rugby league at its best, in it, wandering up with his girlfriend. And I just asked him how he was, and sort of jokingly said, "I assume you're not playing then." So, but he said he was, like 4 weeks away, and but he was back running and stuff. But him being out and Corey being out was them two have been magnificent. The speed of them both, you know what I mean, and both in defence and attack, I think they've been brilliant. So, but Pitt's just slotting in and doing that and doing the job he's done, like he always does wherever he goes. I just think, Pitt's for me. Pitt's for me. He's understated, and he's not winning you the game, but he's just shoring everything up and not. He just, he's just, I think he's great.
Can't argue with the J Pitts vote. Dad, who's your vote for Player of the Month?
I had 10 players written down. we've been that good. He's and I kept changing it. Obviously Caleb's been outstanding. Smoothie's been outstanding. Pitts has been outstanding. I love but to me, one bloke, he's just led us by example. Captain Mike McMeekin for me. I think he's had an awesome month. He's really got better and better. Some of these, he's just smashing people. We mentioned it on the back chat earlier that him and Rodwell lay the foundation for every win we have for those first 20 minutes. But when he comes back, he's a warrior, and he's a gladiator. When you look at the work he does, when you look at the tackles he does, and like yesterday when he made that break, it was like the Kyrgios effect. When he made his break, he was running towards us, and he was just like, back yourself, back yourself. But he just hovered and stopped. But to me, that just epitomised the month he's had. So to me, Captain Fantastic, Mike McMeekin's been my player of the month.
Superb. Erin, who's yours?
I had two that I was thinking about. One was for the games that he's played. I think Josh Rourke played very, very well. Because let's not forget, he's still quite a young player. And to be playing at the level that he has been doing, slotting into a team, playing at centre when he's a full back and things like that, I think he's played very, very well. But I'm going the same as your dad. I'm going Mike. And I'm going to put my hands up. And I actually said to somebody maybe a month, 2 months ago, I said, God, Mike's not very good this year. And I meant it in a sense of compared to last year and compared to how I know he can play, I think he'd had a dip in confidence at the start of this year. And I don't think he backed himself. And I don't know if it was the Ashes series that did it to him or what, but it's almost, he was a bit, I don't know if the word shy is probably maybe the best way. He maybe was being overshadowed by Caius and Caleb, but as the season's gone on, he's got more and more confident and more back into himself. And I think it was the Hull KR game. I think me and my mum and my dad, we turned to one another and went, where's he been all year? Because he were phenomenal. He were leading from the front. I thought at Hull FC, it was absolutely outstanding. And he has just come on leaps and bounds, and he is fully gone to my thoughts at the start of the year. Actually, I am blooming good, and he is blooming good. I think I just don't think his confidence was there at the start of the year. And if your confidence is down, you can't fully back yourself. You can't. put 100% into everything that you're doing. So I'm really pleased for him that he's playing well. I think getting the call back up to England has boosted him as well. And if he stays at this level, he'll be absolutely up for Man of Steel come the end of the year, because the last couple of games he's played have been phenomenal.
Yes, it's a fun with Mike, isn't it? Because him and Tom especially had the longest season out of any of our players last year. They started right at the start of whenever it was, January, played all the way through the Ashes series. And Mike pretty much didn't have any pre-season because he picked up an injury in pre-season and didn't train pretty much for about 75% of it. Plus, he didn't have any extended time off because he was in the England camp. And with the changing rules as well, Mike was last year a technically exceptional defender. So then with the defensive rules changing, it picks up the pace of the game. And Mike is obviously fit enough to keep up with the pace of the game, but he had to change his style of play a little bit. And the forwards this year are doing more work than ever in defence. So that's why his attacking stats were a little bit down. But I agree with you, his efforts are always there. But I do, like you say, he was playing 80 minutes for the vast majority of last year. And he don't need to now. He don't need to. We've got Mills is filled in the gaps in our middles. That we were lacking last year. Caleb and Kaius are playing more minutes. Trey's coming off whenever we need to, and Kai's fully fit as well. We forget Kai pretty much missed all last year, and Caleb missed about half of last year as well. So yeah, but now obviously we're getting into the crunch of the season. Mike's stepping up again, and I agree. Is there's a reason why I called him McFreakin last year. I think he's a freak of a bloke when he turns it on. So yeah, that's 2 votes for Mike and 1 vote for Pitsy Peter. Who's your vote for Player of the Month?
Well, each of those have got a fair shout, to be honest. I could easily back those. Pitsy, especially when Chris was talking about it, I was thinking, to be honest, if they played him at full back, I'd be okay with it. He'd just do a good job, wouldn't he? He'd just do his best. And I hope they don't, but just, he could. But he's one of those players. He's not the biggest player, he's not the fastest player. He just does all the things he does exactly right. His decision making is exactly right. There was one of the tries, I think it was Tom's try, when he walked in. There was one when he even slowed down almost to walk over. But the passing came, Smoothie went to Pitts first, and Pitts' ball to Truman was perfect, right where Truman wanted it. So then when Truman put his perfect ball out to, I think he went to Rourke, each one was a step ahead of where they would have been with a normal pass that they have to reach for. So Tom had loads of time. Cass couldn't keep up, but Pitt starts that, and the number of times he does start that, I think it's excellent. So he's technically really good, which is something that probably does come with experience. Maybe that's why he's getting better in some ways, but he's so supremely fit. I did once just sort of put my hand on his shoulders to congratulate him for something. I remember thinking, my God, they're like rocks. And not every player's like that, but he is. He trains hard. So I could easily give it to him. I could easily give it to McMeekin as well, because for the same reason when Erin's talking about, I'm not sure whether he had a dip, but for the reasons you said, he obviously had a slow start to the season because of his lack of pre-season, which does affect your confidence. If you're blowing halfway through the game when you're not normally, it knocks your confidence and stuff. But he's back. But and again, I'd probably say also, I'm a really, really big fan of Smoothie as well. And he's been consistently excellent. But I am going to go back to the old faithful, because I still think Caleb is head and shoulders above everybody else. So I'm going to still vote for Caleb, because the very fact he can come on a game, jog into the middle of the field, take the ball and score a try. It's just like, it was almost like, oh, hang on, guys, I'm here. Just hold me beer. I'll score a try. It's just like, it was one of those where that was a confidence thing as well. Is when we talk about Mike with confidence, he was tackled. I mean, admittedly, it was a scrum half who tackled him, but he was tackled. They had the strong grip on him, and he could have just gone down, got a quick play of the ball, but he looked around and thought, no, actually, I can do this. And he moved and pushed away and wriggled, and 2 other players came in. He just fought his way through and put the ball down. And players like that come from confidence. It's not just your strength, because lots of players have the strength to do that. They don't have the confidence to do it. And his confidence has gone up and up as he's been playing through the season. So there's no doubt about it. He's going to end up in our Player of the Year. I'm not sure how they're going to go with the Man of Steel things, because it seems a strange way of voting this year. But I'm not sure our guys have got enough on the board for people to notice yet, and whether a good end to the season will bring them up. But he is an absolute, in the old days when they picked it, he would have been a man of steel. So I'm still going to go with him, regardless of the fact that all those other players are so good and so deserving. I'm going to go back to Caleb.
Good. That's why I like these. We always get such a spread of player votes, and it probably again it proves how well we're going this year. And we're not just a one player team. My vote is going to go to Tyson Smoothie, which means Mike McMeekin has won our player of the year.
Yeah.
I'll post that up afterwards. But Tyson Smoothie is a complete Rolls Royce for a player, isn't he? He is just a game changer. He's only played 2/3 of one season with us, and he's probably the best hooker I've ever seen at Trinity in 25 years. I think he's absolutely a complete player. He can do everything. He can do anything. He's a quiet bloke from the sounds of it as well. He's not really someone who's got a lot of attitude or a lot of pomp and circumstance about him, but I quite like that. I like someone who's a bit, I'll save the character to players like Jazz and Tom and Caius as well. I'm happy for our quiet Rolls Royce for players to go about his business, picking up unbelievable distribution and pass selection and dictating the tempo of the game and making 40 tackles without even shirking it. He plays 80 minutes against the big teams, and against the lesser so teams, he's happy to do 50, 60 minutes and give Harvey a go. We know things are going on off field with him, which we haven't spoken about. But as Millsy said on this podcast a couple of weeks ago, he's a Wakefield player for as long as he's contracted for, unless something else changes. So as he's a currently Wakefield player, we'll carry on talking about him. I think he's an absolutely exceptional player, and I think if it wasn't for the quality of depth of hookers in Super League at the minute, he'd get talked about more. I think obviously people like O'Neill and Walker and Litton and Levi and those players are exceptional. I'm not saying they're any better than Smoothie, but there's so many quality hookers in Super League. But Smoothie is just unbelievable, and he's on the pendulum swings with him. I think he was so good at the start of the year, fans almost missed how good he was. He's now, whether people listen to us or not, or whether they just watch the game, I think people realise how good he is, and I think he's playing that well. People are almost forgetting how good he is again. So yeah, I just want to put that back into the universe. But he's that good. He's just incredible, and I think as much as I love Harvey, you can see the quality slightly dip when he does come off the field, and thankfully he's not picked up a bad injury or anything or a suspension, so we've not needed to fill that gap. But by golly, he is an unbelievable player. But yeah, that's two votes for Mike McMeekin, one for Pitsy, one for Caleb, and one for Tyson. So we will I'll post it out on socials and stuff. But that's the podcast player of the month in Mike McMeekin.
Can I just jump in on Smoothie as well? Just sorry to jump in, but one thing I've noticed, because I do watch him a lot now as well, and he is quiet and quietly spoken when you see him on the behind the scenes cameras and stuff like that, he's quiet. But I've noticed the players listen to him. He's one of those that if he's speaking, they all turn and listen to him. And he's obviously one of those that got a lot of respect in the team. But the other thing as well is he's also one of those that he's very calculated in everything he does, even to the point of, you got people like Jazz who will flare up straight away and get involved, and other players will as well. Whereas I can't remember, it might have been Wigan, but I can't remember a game where somebody did something to one of our players, and Smoothie got straight in. He was roughing somebody up, and he was upset with them. But he was one of those where he went in, made his point, calmed down, walked away. It was almost like, I'm here to make sure you know you've done something wrong, but I'm going to walk away now. He didn't lose it. He just makes his point. And I like that about him. He's very calculated and measured in everything he does.
Dad, next three games: Hull KR away, Bradford away, Castleford at home. They're the three games before our next fans forum. What's your predictions for that? How many wins?
We've got to go 4 out of 4, haven't we? It's like
Three games.
three go win all three. A few months ago, you wouldn't have backed Hull KR away, but I just think the way we're playing, and the way Hull KR aren't brilliant. They've got a few injuries as well. Burgess is out. I know Hadley's out. Amon missed the other day. Pangar Junior is suspended already, so they're picking up their injuries. And just the fact that we're on a bit of a roll, we've got to go over there confident. And these are the games we need to be looking at. As I mentioned earlier, we've only won 1 of 5 against our fellow top 6 rivals. So we've got to go to Hull KR feeling confident. Bradford, they're not a great side, Bradford, are they? The play Huddersfield this week. After our game, they've got Leeds, Wigan, Warrington and St Helens, I think. So when you look at their next few games, they'll be thinking Wakefield at home's one we need to have a go at because we've got a tough run in. Cass, they're cast out there. You know, they just if they play like they did against us yesterday, we should stuff them as well. I'm not sure how they can change in 3 weeks. Yes, they beat St Helens a few weeks ago, but then they were awful against York and us. So I've got to go 3 out of 3, and fingers crossed.
Chris, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, 3. Obviously, KR will be the standout one, but like your dad says, they're sort of down a bit, and World Cup challenges obviously left its mark as well. You know what I mean? That's to peak then. So I'd like to go to KR and really put it on them. And then, yeah, Bradford and Cass, don't mean it in an arrogant way, but we've moved on now. Like Peter said, we're a different beast. So you win those games and you move on. It's just another 2 points, like we are doing, accumulating. Erin said that we'd have lost a lot of those close games. Now we win them, put them to bed, and keep working. Everything's about September and October. Everything's for that. So just make sure top 6. So yeah, 3 from 3, mate.
Erin?
I want to say 3 so badly, but I hate going to Hull KR away because their crowd, their East Stand, I think it is like our North Stand. They just scream for everything. They get right behind them. So I think they are genuinely like the 14th player on the field. So if we don't get phased by that, and we can wrap up May over Lewis, because I think May's been more dangerous this year, I think we make it 3 out of 3. If we go there and we're just not quite as confident as we could be, it'll be 2. But also, in the back of my mind, I just can't shake the idea that we can go to a game and be confident that we're going to win. And we could genuinely go to Newcastle Knights next week. Is that what Newcastle? No, Gateshead Thunder, whatever they're called. Newcastle, not Newcastle Knights, as in them ones. Newcastle Thunder, and I'd go, might lose that. Like, I genuinely don't have. There's just something in me that stops me because of how we've played in the past almost 30 years that I've watched us. So I just don't want us to be complacent, because that's what happened at Castaway last year. So I'm going to say 2. If it's 3, delightful. Really happy with 2. I just really don't want to lose against Cass.
Peter?
Well, I'm in the 3 column. It did. I can't remember. It might have been Darryl said it when somebody asked him and said, "Oh, well, we'd like 3 out of 4, including the one we just won." I'm like, I think we're underselling ourselves again. I think we need to, obviously it's a hard and probably the hardest match we're going to have for a while, but there's no reason why we can't go to OKR confident. And it's one of my favorite. It's one of my favorite grounds to go to, actually, because I've been there going to OKR a long time and seeing how they developed, and I do definitely see a blueprint that we can follow with Hull KR for on the field and off the field. I like the fact that the fans are really passionate, but I just kind of like the whole thing, the journey over there and everything. I just quite like it. And it's hard. I've been going for years when Lynn Casey and Holstock and Millington have been smashing us all over the place and back in the day. And I think they still have a very strong team, but I do think their style of team, how good they are, is a style that we can play against. So Saints, for some reason, is a style that we find really difficult to play against. But I think OKR is a team that we can play against, and our style works well against them. And maybe it's the park and how we work and Truman's style of play. But I think we should go confident. And I mean, I'd love to beat them. More so if we do, it really separates out that top 4, really, because it pushes them down from us, because we've got a game in hand as well. So it's a really important, it's a cup final on the way to lots of cup finals. I almost, and it's a bad way of putting it, I almost disregard the other 2 because we should hammer those 2 teams. Bradford especially, they will obviously put up a fight, but we should be able to take that. And one of the signs of being able to do that is Cass at the weekend is how much were people raving about, and I'll try really hard not to get the name wrong, but Papalangi, if I've got that
Papalangi, yeah, that's it.
right. Everybody was sort of saying, "Oh, we should sign him. He's fantastic. We can't stop him. How terrible it is." And Gary on the wing. Oh God, how fast is he? We'll never stop him. Well, it appears we can.
Mhm.
So I think it's a time to not to worry too much about those other players or other teams, and just think if we play our game, we can beat them. And I think that's where we are with OKR.
Yeah, I will have to go in the same club as Erin, I think, and just say be conservative and say 2 out of 3. But I think we absolutely can beat OKR. It's not like I'm writing that off. I just worry. Dad will know. I can't remember the last time we beat OKR away.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, you'll find out in a minute, I'm sure. But they're a good team. They're the current champions of Super League and the world and the whole universe, aren't they? By all accounts, they'll be out for revenge against us. They do have a lot of injuries though, and they have been. I don't think they're that impressive against FC, but we'll see. It's a real marker, isn't it? Darryl will be challenging the team. If we beat OKR away, I think I don't want to say that guarantees us playoffs, but a lot of teams will think, all right, Wakefield are a playoff team now. There's 10 games to go. I think if we can win 5 out of 10 games, I know we're not talking about the whole scope. I think 5 wins out of 10 secures a playoff spot. I think. We've still got every other playoff contending team to play. We've still got Leeds, Saints, Warrington, OKR, Leeds, and Wigan to play. I think Saints have still got the majority to play as well. And I think Warrington and Lee do, from what I can remember. I think again, there's 10 games left, so there's still long. Everyone's still got another game to go, but I do think 5 out of 10 wins gets us a playoff spot. But I think we're probably going to get to a point where we might secure a playoff spot by about a month's time, and we need to then focus on getting a home playoff game because the thing that I did the last year, we scraped into 6, we did really well, we killed all our energy, and then we got battered at Lee away, and it wasn't good enough. If we can secure a home playoff game or even a top 2 spot, what's stopping us from being in the top 2 and skipping a week and getting a home game, one game away from the grand final? I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but that's the thing I think we should be aiming for. So yeah, I will go 2 out of 3, but every single finger and toe in my body is praying that we get a 3 out of 3, and I think it really stamps it on because, again, we'll talk about the next fans forum, but we're going into a period then when we've got Catalans away, then we're playing, is it Leeds, Wigan, Saints, York, Warrington, Lee,
Yeah.
which does make me cringe a little bit, but they also want to play us, so it's one of those now. So yeah, Dad, sorry, go on.
No, we've lost our last 4.
Okay.
We had a fair run a few years ago. We've actually won 4 of the last 9. We won in 2016, 18, 19, and 21. So the last time we actually won was 25-18 in 2021. We lost twice there in 2022, 2023, the year we went down, and last year 34-10 we got belted. So we've lost our last 4 visits. We haven't won since August 2021.
Right, fair enough. Coming on to the news, some really sad news. We've kind of, this was probably about a month ago now. It's been that long since we've done the fans forum. But Peter, I'll come to you because you knew these 2 blokes. You knew Jeff really well. You knew John in passing. We lost Jeff Oakes and John Keir in the same weekend. A crying shame for both those blokes, both Wakefield legends. I'll just come to you first, Pete. You knew both these blokes, and terrible, terrible news to lose Jeff and John.
Absolutely. I'll talk about Jeff first. And I got to know him actually, I was very lucky to be able to do that, partly through heritage type things that you guys had organised and stuff like that. And I often end up sitting on the table with Neil Fox and Ian Brook and Ken when he was there. And excuse me. And Jeff, I found him such a nice guy, but such a funny guy. He was very much the glue of that group. And I used to talk about it as being like, it's very much, Neil's almost regal in those kind of areas. People come and talk to him with real reverence, and he doesn't grab it, but he's obviously used to it for years and years being like that from other rugby players and greats as well. And Ian's very funny and he's very knowledgeable about the game. But Jeff was the one that would bring them in and say, "Oh, do you remember that time when we were at Wembley and that guy punched him in something like that?" And they'd all be laughing and joking about it. And he was just a joy to be around. And the thing, to be honest, as well, what I realised is he played hooker in the 60s when it was a hard man's game. And it's only when you go talk to him and stuff, you know, he's quite a big guy, to be honest. When you're an older guy, obviously you look as if you're not quite there, but he's a big guy. I reckon he was a tough guy in his day as well. Such a nice, welcoming guy. He didn't know me, but he would chat to me like I was his mate. And when the last time I saw him, we were walking up to the across the car park together, and I just went up and said, "You all right, Jeff?" And he says, "I'm having a bit of a hard time at the moment, and health wise." And I said to him, I said, "Do you need any help?" He said, "No, I'm fine." And he sort of stood up straight and kept on walking and talking to me. So he's a very proud guy as well. But I feel quite honoured that I did get to know him slightly more personally than just as a picture on the wall. So a really sad day to lose him. Um, and I'm glad that we honoured him at the club as well. I think you guys did a good job. I think the club did a good job with him as well. Obviously, and again, being slightly younger, it's a bigger shock when you're talking about John Keir. I've been lucky enough to talk to him a little bit. I don't know him as well as some do, but I've never met a more inspirational guy. He's positive about everything, and you can tell from his background. I think he was a teacher and stuff. He's used to talking to people. I wanted to listen to him when he was on TV talking about details. He didn't. He was never. Some players like Gary Schofield and Wilkin and people like that, they had to, and even Steve, they're trying to change their image a little bit to be a bit controversial, to be the guy on TV. John never had to do that. He was just a good guy people wanted to listen to. And he was very eloquent. And, I think the fact that the outpouring for him was so wide across there was nobody didn't say anything, if you know what I mean, across every club, even in Parliament, people were saying things about him. Such a loss to the game. I really do think he's a loss to the game. So that was a sad weekend. Like I said, I'm glad that he was on. And I have to say, it chokes me up a little bit when the BBC did their little piece on him as well, because you could tell the people talking on there were talking about their really good friend as well. So very good. And like I said, I don't think I can say more than that, but I'm glad we honoured them. Both deserved it really, really well.
And Erin, I'll just come to you as well. Obviously, again, our generation grew up with John Keir in rugby league, but especially at Trinity. And I know you didn't know Jeff as well, but John especially. Tell us your memories and thoughts on losing Jeff and John in the same weekend.
Yeah, I saw the post about Jeff first, and I texted my mum and I was like, "Oh, you not believe it, Jeff Oakes has passed away," and we were really, really sad about that because my mum's gone to all the lunches that your dad's put on over the years, and he's all they. What we do really well and what your dad's done is really bring the heritage, proper 60s, 70s heritage of Wakefield. The names are still as popular and that people know them today because of what we've done as a club. We've got the Oaks Draw, we had the Rolling Shack, we've got Brookie's Bar, we've got everything that celebrates our past, and we can never forget it because it was just a beautiful time for Wakefield Trinity, and I've got to commend your dad for the work he's done on that, because I knew of Harold Poynton because he used to drink at a pub that my uncle drank at, and he got him to sign something for me once because they knew I was a Wakey fan. And I always knew of Neil Fox. And I once worked a function where I used to work, and I went up to him and I said, "I'm really sorry, Neil, to interrupt you. I'm going to have to come over and shake your hand." So the respect I've got for these players, and there's a lovely picture my mum's got, and it might have been one of the last things that Jeff went to because he used to go to out luncheons, and it's my mum, it's Neil Fox, I think it's Ian Brook, Mason Leno, my mum, and the championship shield, and that is a really great photo that both my mum and I'll cherish. So that was really sad. And when I saw the news about John, I was at work, and I rang my mum, and I had to say it to her 3 times. John Keir's passed away, And she went, "What are you talking about?" And I didn't believe it myself. And I sat at my desk at work for about an hour and I didn't do anything. I couldn't bring myself to do anything except to go through my phone and my Facebook of old pictures. And because obviously we had the time when he came back. So I've got stuff on my Facebook from like 2009, 10. And then when he came back, and I was just looking at pictures and memories. And something that you said, Jamie, that really choked me up was he cared for us when nobody else did. And oh, well, sorry. And I remember it was on Look North, and Harry Gresham went, "Do you want the worky job?" And he went, "My phone's here." And that for me, he embodied Wakefield. So we'll really miss him.
Yeah, well said, Erin. Well said. And Dad, obviously, we did the podcast on the day, really, didn't we? We didn't have any other time to do it, so it was very, very difficult for us. But very recently afterwards, it was the announcement of the CBE, the King's birthday honours for Neil Fox got his upgrade to a CBE, and I don't know if you can pull the curtain back and tell us a bit about that because I know you were involved in that as well. It's an unbelievable achievement, and they're going to have to repaint the stand as well from the MBE stand to the CBE stand.
Yeah. I'm just holding back tears from Erin really because that were quite emotional really. But just touching on Jeff, I'm missing my old mate already because he epitomised Trinity heritage really. And the fact that you two are in your 30s, yet you all know about Jeff Oakes and Ken Rolling and Ian Brook and everything Harold Point, and it's sort of I think I sit back and think, yeah, Trinity heritage is working. It's like that's one of the things I wanted to push. And I was very lucky. I read his eulogy at his funeral a couple of weeks ago. And what an honour that was. If somebody had told me a few years ago, I'd have been stood at the front of 100 and 200 people giving a eulogy to a Wakefield Trinity Wembley winner from 1960s. I've done it twice because I did it in the cathedral for Ken Rolling as well. So yeah, so they're the sort of things that those fellas mean to me. Neil Fox, yeah, I'm not sure what we're allowed to say really, but we were part of we tried to push for a knighthood. I was part of a committee that's been pushing for a knighthood for months, and we got all the backing from the MPs, and we had a sort of little a group together, and we got the full backing of all the MPs in the district from the rugby league. And we'd virtually heard that he was going to get a knighthood, and then it changed at the last minute to a CBE. So we were chuffed as punch that he got a CBE, but on the back of it, we were quite disappointed he didn't get a knighthood after all the work we'd pushed. Maybe because Billy Boston got one last year, and maybe because Kevin Sinfield had got one, but Kevin Sinfield got one more for his charity work than his rugby league. But by the by, he deserved it. So that was brilliant the fact that he got one, but slightly tinged that he didn't get a knighthood. So that was the only. I was quite disappointed when I heard it on the morning after all the positivity that I thought we'd heard the day before.
And Chris, I'll just come to you. I was going to come to you with some other stuff, but if you had any thoughts on John and Jeff as well.
I think for me, just listening to you guys, obviously you guys have been in this and a lot more heavily involved than I am. Obviously, we've got their own little kind of personal stories and stuff, but a couple of things really. One, what an absolute privilege it is to kind of be surrounded by people like yourselves, and this is why I travel 102 miles every other week. It's there's a passion you can't put your finger on. It's being surrounded by people like yourselves. The work I've said before about the podcast, the heritage stuff, the fact that I know coming into the club from 2012 and not from a rugby league background, and like I've bought your dad's books. I've followed the website, the podcasts that you guys have done. The fact that I know them, I think, is the best compliment that can be paid to people like yourselves. I know it's not just you, but the club and you and people like yourselves that bring those stories and those people rightfully to the fore and don't let them be forgotten. And rightfully so, because it's kind of, what's it called, like newness bias, recency bias. You always think, your era and the most recent thing is like the best thing since sliced bread. You've helped me understand how good those boys actually were, So I think, firstly, like, yeah, it's an absolute privilege, and seeing the emotion from you guys, being so close to John and Jeff and people like that. I think, yeah, it's a real privilege, a massive kind of just driver, really. I think the biggest thing for me about Wakey is it's just surrounded and full of good, honest, nice people, that are trying hard, that have never really kind of had a lot of success, but have got humility and have got but unbelievable passion. Like, I was filling up, and I can understand exactly what you're saying about that John Keir thing, and like Peter said about the tribute to him. I wasn't supporting him when he was in charge and stuff, but I've seen his passion for the club, and you could tell he was, and I've watched the matches back and the cast game and stuff. So I think that for me is what epitomises Wakey, that kind of just humanity and humility and just decent, down to earth people that care, And I think that for me is why, like, if I'm positive and say we can beat everybody and we can go and smash them, I'm not almost bothered about beating anybody else. I just you want Wakey to do well, and so I think it just makes me want to grab my badge and just say, like, come on, lads, like, it's just the whole backstory of just being good, and you guys keeping it all alive, and us being down for so long and us finally coming good. It's just such a wonderful story. Going back to that original point that Peter was saying about seeing all the jerseys when Wakefield. Obviously, because I live in Bolton. I can't tell you the number of comments that I get from people that are just, if I've got my Wakey coat on, a Wakey jersey on, whatever, my entire wardrobe's from club shop, like. So it's and people just saying, "Oh, I hope you do really well. Like, you're my second club. Oh, didn't you do well last week? You're playing so well. I love watching you play." And it's just stuff like that. So there's such an amount of goodwill, and I think a lot of that comes back through things like the work that you do, the humility, the just, and that humanity really at the centre of it all, and that passion, and good, honest people really at the heart of it. And yeah, for all the people like such as yourselves that have, when we win that grand final, then yeah, we'll all be sobbing our hearts out. So, and rightfully so.
Go on, Erin.
Just to round it off, so we can all have a bit of a giggle again after. Sorry, I'm sorry about that earlier. So someone came up to me dad at weekend and went, "Oh, Wakefield, you'll get back into Super League soon." And his mate, I think he were a Warrington fan, and his mate said to him, "What are you on about, you numpty?" So we tried his best to get his name out there, but maybe we've just got one. Maybe Warrington don't get Sky Sports at the moment.
Yeah, they ain't got electricity yet, have they, over there? So.
No.
Just branching off that, Pete, we spoke about performance and how well we're doing as individuals and as a team. The England Performance Programme had their recent pathway call up again this year. Mike McMeekin and Tom Johnson have got recalled from our squad, who obviously they've been involved in a couple of years now, and obviously the Ashes test. But more impressively, Jake Truman and Caleb Hamlin-Welle have been called up, and we've got 4 players now in the England programme. There's only Wigan who've got more players than us. Tell us how impressed and how proud you are of what we've done as a club, and of those 4 players as well. Because Mike and Tom have been there for a while now, but for Jake to be so out of form and out of touch, come back into form with Trinity, and get an England call up. But Caleb Hamlin-Welle, we've essentially homegrown, haven't we? Really, from shoots up. Just an incredible achievement from everyone at the club.
I agree, and I think, and even to be honest with Mike and Tom, in the past, because we're not a fashionable club, they'd have been struggling to get in. They could have, Tom could have had his best year ever, and he were only starting to get noticed again when he were doing Catalan kind of things. But then, because Wakefield have done well and we've given him a platform, people have stood up and noticed him again and like, oh, actually, he's still pretty good, and actually he's developed his game. Mike, I don't think anybody, if they saw any game last year, he can't doubt he was the best prop in the league. He was just outstanding. So there was nobody could dispute that. But and to be honest, with and again, I've already waxed lyrical about Caleb. I don't know whether he's going to be getting in, but the only reason he won't get in is if we decide not to go with somebody who wasn't born in Wakefield. It's the only thing that wouldn't put him in there. And although I do understand it, think it'd be a mistake not to pick him. But True is a funny one because at his best, he's a gifted player and more skillful than the other halfbacks in our in the England setup. But he isn't quite as fast as Williams, and he isn't quite, all those, to be honest. And some things like that sometimes will work against him. So I think he will be the one who finds it hardest to get in because he's got a bit of competition, and the other's a box office that Sky like to talk about and things. So, with O'Connor and Lewis and people like that, they're always talked about. Whereas people talk about Truman as like, oh God, we'd forgotten how good he was. So I think his end of season will be important for him to see if he gets in. But some of the touches he's and I think one of the measures for him is when our NRL players come over, and Smoothie and Jazz, and we in the past when we've had players come over, they've gone back home and go, oh God, it's rubbish there, and it's cold showers and that kind of thing. Whereas they're sitting there going, he could play NRL, he is gifted, and you're like, well, that's big praise, really. So I'd like to see him get in. I honestly, I'm not sure Truby's going to get in unless there's an injury. But the other three, I'd love to see a front row with Mike and Caleb in. That would just be awesome. And again, the measure of the team is people were a bit disappointed that Pratty didn't get in. So, he's even playing out of position in some ways. So it shows how good we are and how wide our base of skillful players is as well. The fact that we can get so many rather than having, to be honest, how it would have been in the past is we have had a young player coming through, picked out Tom or Gareth Ellis or somebody like that, and they probably play once and then get picked up by Leeds or Bradford or somewhere else. The reason we've got them now is because we can keep them. So I'd love them to all play, but the very fact that they're there is a big achievement for us.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Very good. And yeah, lastly, we've actually got two more bits of news, and then we'll move on to the Lone Watch and talk about the stats and stuff. But recruitment signing for next year was kind of leaked very quickly and then actually announced very quickly by the club. Emre Gula from the St George Illawarra Dragons, another big prop forward from Millsy. Millsy loves his big middles. For anybody that doesn't watch St George Illawarra, they're doing it tough this year. They've only had 2 wins all year, and one of those actually came last weekend. So they've been doing it really tough. But Emre has pretty much played every single game. Started at Canberra, went really well at Canberra, and obviously I don't know if he's Turkish born, but he's got Turkish heritage. He loves his Turkish background, but yeah, doing really well in the NRL, playing there for a good 5, 6, 7 years, I think now, and obviously taking the jump over for us. He's worth watching. He's a big body. He's about 112, 113 kilos, very similar size to Mike. Works hard. He's definitely a workhorse. Again, Millsy likes his big work hard in props. Got great line speed. He's technically brilliant as well, and his strengths are probably kind of his ruck speed, his leg drive. He's not someone who's going to come bash a load of blokes up like Caius or make a load of post contact meters like Caleb. But he's probably another technically proficient, very strong, work hard type of prop forward, and he's essentially might make him, but 2 or 3 years younger and 2 or 3 kilos heavier. So I think he's going to go really, really well for us. Mills is really, really happy with that. And apparently he's a really great guy as well, which again, we do have that no dickhead policy, which I'm sure every club does really. They want every player to be sunshine and rainbows, but he's a really good guy, down to earth family man. And yeah, keep an eye out for him at the Dragons. Like I said, the Dragons are not doing well this year. So if he does have a couple of bad games, maybe don't put all your eggs in that basket. But really excited with that transfer. And Dad, I know you again, you watch as much NRL as me, but have you seen much of the Dragons so far this year and Emre Gula?
No, not much. I know he was on the bench at the weekend, but when what I'm fascinated by is, we don't buy clowns anymore. To me, where's he going to fit in? When you talk about our pack at the moment, we've got 10 players who are playing outstanding, another 2 that can't get in. Add Gola and then add Cam Smith from Leeds. I know Pitts is potentially retiring. Where they're going to go? We're going to end up with about 12 middles, who are all first class middles. Scares me where they're all going to go.
Bring it on, competition. That's what it's for, isn't it? And bring it on. We'll send Trey out to Batley if we need for a week and or whoever. But yeah, that's what Wigan do. It's what Leeds do. It's what the best teams have. They have competition. If we've got salary cap room and we've got the room for it. Let's go for it. And Erin, just last bit of news before we move on. Announced this month. It's been in the rumours for a long time, but Cam Scott has announced he's leaving the club, going to Bradford next year. I think it's a really good piece of business. What's your opinion on that? And will you be sad to see Cam go?
I think he's played really well for us over the past 2 years. There was a bit of a dip sort of halfway through last year. I thought maybe he's not as, the player that I thought he was before we signed him. But he's been quite consistent, hasn't he? And he'll be one of them. Do you know, like when we said bye to Hoodie and bye to Griff last year? It'll be a genuine thank you for your service to us, and no bad blood, no nothing like that. But I think he started in their academy setup, like all the Bradford fans who came in towards end of our game, they were singing "It's coming home, Cam Scott's coming home" yesterday. So, like, I can see probably why he's done it. And he still gets to play Super League as well, because sometimes when people are leaving us because they might not get picked next year, it's because they might drop to the Championship or. But yeah, I think it's a decent bit of business. He might have struggled next year with it in terms of our backline of where we're going with Roger and Pratty maybe coming in off the wing back to centre and things like that. So yeah, I think probably the right decision for both parties, to be honest with you.
Very good. Loan watch, Neil Chimbambe at London has had 2 games in June, 6 tries in June, including 4 against Crusaders who are battling and doing it tough. He's got 22 tries so far this year as Steel Neil, so he's doing well. Miles Lawford, 3 games in June, 17 goals in June. Again, 13 of those coming against Crusaders, doing it tough. 3 tries and 52 goals overall for Halifax. And Ellis Lingard, our young stud, he had 1 game in June for Dewsbury away at Batley. Played 5 games overall this year as well. Our stats so far: we've now got 3 boys on double figures for try scoring after this weekend. Ollie Pratt still is, he's been out for a few weeks and probably still got a few more weeks on the treatment bench. He's got 15 tries so far this year. Tom Johnston, 13. Cam Scott has just hit 10. We've just been talking about Cam, and then we've got Josh Rourke on 8, Matty Staunton and Will Tate on 6, and then a few more on 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Assist makers sitting not only at the top of the tree, but at the top of the tree, then it's Daylight, then it's everyone else, is Jake Truman. Jake Truman's got 23 try assists for us this year so far. I don't know, has he played every game, Dad? I think he's
Yeah.
played every
Ever
game.
present this year. What an outstanding achievement that is.
Yeah, 23 try assists from Jake Truman. Just underneath him is Daylight, and then just underneath that is Max Jowett on 11, Tyson Smoothie on 10, Josh Rourke on 8, and Jackson Field on 7. Goal kickers have had a few this year already. Max Jowett has kicked 40 out of 59. Jackson Field has kicked 20 out of 32 and a drop goal on top of that. Mason Lino, 13 out of 21, and Josh Rourke with 3 out of 4 as well. Ken Rolling points that we give 3, 2, 1 to every single player. Not every single player, but every single week and every single game. For our 3 best players in every game. Tyson Smoothie is leading that one with 18 points. And Jake Truman and Caleb Hamlin-Wellier tied second on 15. Tom Johnston's got 11. Big Az Ivanganar's got 9. Kais Fatatil 8. And then a bucket load of players on 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Injuries, yeah, we're doing it tough in the back line at the minute, aren't we? Jaden Myers is still nursing that shoulder injury, hopefully back in the next couple of weeks. Ollie Pratt's got a hamstring, as Chris said earlier, he's down for a couple of weeks as well. Corey Hall is out with that syndesmotic ankle sprain. Tommy Doyle, poor Tommy Doyle. We say this every month. I'd be surprised if he gets another game for us, but I think it's fair to say for what he did for Trinity, he's one of our championship boys, and we'll be sad to probably see him go at the end of the year. I'm not predicting anything too big there. His contract is up, and he's probably going to end up getting released. But he's been nursing that groin injury for about 18 months now. Bless him, and he's done really well for us when he has played. And Mason Lino, again, calf injury. We don't know when he's coming back, but hopefully in the future. The additional teams, reserves teams, had 3 games in June. We were waxing lyrical about them. They had some, but we did say they had some tough ones coming up. They did lose all 3 games. They lost to Warrington 38-12, Wigan 48-4, and Hull FC 32-22. Again, we've had a few players moving in and out of that, haven't we? With Keane McGann getting first team games. Harvey Smith has dropped down a few times. Matty Staunton and Lachie Walmsley did have a game this past weekend as well. But they're now fourth in the league, and July fixtures, we've got Wigan away and Castleford at home. The Academy played 3 games as well in June and did lose all 3 games, unfortunately, as well. Lost 24-14 at Warrington, 40 points to 10 at Hull KR, and 24-22 to Castleford, sixth in their league now as well. And 2 games in the scholarship, unfortunately, defeats in that as well. We did lose every single game. Reserves Academy and Scholarship. We lost to Warrington 54-4 and Bradford 30 points to 12. And we're not just saying this because we've lost every game, but winning and losing isn't that massively important. We obviously want to win every game in those age groups, but the main thing is about development and creating combinations and creating confidence. So hopefully, I've got all the confidence in the world that our youth development team is doing well there. On the back of that, on the total flip side of it, the women's team, we've spoken about how difficult they've done it in the past, but 3 games this month, 3 wins for the ladies. Excellent stuff there. Rochdale, they beat 44-6. Workington, they beat 28-10, and they played Rochdale again and beat 56-4. Still unbeaten in the league, top of the table, 2 points ahead of Workington. 6 wins and a draw from 7 games. Keep going, girls. Really, really good. And that's the proof in it. The proof is in the eating of the pudding there as well. So it works. And if you put time and development and money and effort into something, it works. So really, really happy for the whole team down at the Wakefield Trinity ladies. The wheelchair, the PDRL and LDRL, the foundation news. The PDRL the Wakefield Trinity PDRL took to the field at the DIY Kitchen Stadium at the start of June, taking on Team Colostomy UK as part of the annual inclusion round against Hull KR a couple of weeks ago. Trinity then continued their league campaign with a thrilling 20-all draw against Leeds Rhinos, with Chris Mitchell scoring 2 tries and Elliot Dixon Griffiths and Henry Green also on the score sheet. Our PDRL side return to the DIY Kitchen Stadium against Castleford Tigers on Saturday, the 11th of July. Kickoff is 1:45 p.m. and entry is free for all supporters through the gate between the East Stand and the clubhouse. Any support is hugely appreciated. The LDRL participated in the festival action at Hull's Craven Park and the DIY Kitchen Stadium as part of the inclusion round again early this month. The LDSL team also took to the field of the Hill Dico Everton as well yesterday, if anybody saw that as part of the Magic Weekend. And there is a festival of action at the DIY Kitchen Stadium on Saturday, the 18th of July, between 10 a.m. and midday as well. And again, it's free for all supporters to go. And the wheelchair team were in action 3 times during June. They lost out to Midlands 60 points to 20, 64-18 against Batley, and 88-14 against North Wales as well. They're kind of in the position, we say this every month, they're kind of in the position that the ladies team were a couple of years ago. But yeah, doing really well by all accounts in terms of recruitment and training and pathways and everything as well. And the wheelchair reserves, they've got a wheelchair reserve, so it proves that we've got some players. They also lost to Team Colostomy UK as well. Next up, they host Gravesend Dynamite on Sunday, the 12th of July at St Thomas a Becket School at 1:45 p.m. Any other business, Dad, before we round off?
Just touching on your injuries, you were talking about Tommy Doyle. He's had his groin surgery, and I'm sure Darryl said a couple of weeks ago that he's going to be playing in the reserves soon. So
Oh, brilliant!
it's good old Tommy. He's not going to be not going to not pull on a Trinity shirt on again. So we've got 4 reserve team games left this season. So hopefully he'll pull on a shirt then. Just going back to wheelchairs, I don't know if anybody saw on the socials that they've had 8 new wheelchairs as well. They've had a lot of fundraising this year, so they've got 8 new wheelchairs as well. So everybody's got their own chairs to play in. Max Jowett, one of our own, his testimonial started last week. He's got a year-long testimonial. Various events going on. So his launch night was last week. He had JD from Radio Leeds interviewed him, Geordie Crowther, James Batchelor and Tom Johnston were all on the stage. It was a good night. It was all right. He's got a shirt coming out. He's got T-shirts. I've had the honour of writing his brochure, so I've sat down and had a coffee with Max. His next event is a golf day, which is Monday the 3rd of August, which is the Monday when we've all got off the plane from Catalan. So, and he's got various events coming up, so we'll keep pushing them, and they'll be all on our socials as well.
Good stuff. Any other business, Chris, before we round off?
No, I think just yeah, just stepping up that level now as we move towards the sort of meaty end of the season. Really, I think I saw a really good interview earlier in the season with Johnston saying that he got absolutely manhandled by the Aussies, and it was kind of a real kick, in the pants for him. Really, a bit of a wake up call, and you can see he's gone bigger this year. He's trained harder over winter, and so I think just that for the entire team, really, about that. We've got a lot left in us. We're absolutely amazing, but we've got more in us. And yeah, I want to kind of go to Wigan and manhandle them, and start putting it on the big teams.
Anything else, Erin?
I've got a couple, so get your seatbelts on. Strap in.
Sit down.
One, please, for the love of God, can we have some more emails? I had no idea that this captain's run was on because I don't check my app religiously. Because why would I do that? I checked my emails. I had nothing. Obviously, people did get it because they turned up. But I'm a platinum member. I had no idea. Not a Scooby-Doo till they said, what a great morning we had. And I'm like, oh, did we? Would have loved to have known. So I have booked on next one. But please, for the love of God, can we have some more emails? If it means we delete them, just bung us a few more emails. Secondly, we all need to be a little bit kinder to people like Max. Max is going through a confidence knock at the minute. And you can see it in his game. And it's not probably the reason that he didn't play at the weekend. But we need to get off players' backs so badly. We are flying high at the minute. And let's just be a bit kinder towards these players. Because then it's not like we're watching blooming old vape chops from 3 years ago. It's not like we're watching him again, is it? We're watching Max having a couple of off days. So let's just take a breath, have a day off, and chill out. Thirdly, how good's Trinity X? Come on.
Brilliant. Every week.
They just, the professionalism, if you go to away games and you watch other dancers, I am incredibly biased, but they are head and shoulders above the rest. And it's all down to Jodie and Anastasia and the work that they do. They are phenomenal. And it makes me really, really proud that I, A, used to be a member, but B, can get to watch them and know how good they are. And they're wearing the Wakefield Trinity badge and doing Wakefield Trinity proud. Because anything with the Wakefield Trinity badge on, I love it. So, but yeah, I just get so proud watching them every week. And it's so good to know that people are watching and recognising how good they are. Anyway, seatbelts off. Lights come off plane.
Erin, they are absolutely superb. I think for any bloke over 40, I think they probably just have to temper how enthusiastically clap about a group of very attractive young girls. So
they're all over 18.
Just bearing that in mind.
They're over 18, you're fine. Apart from like 2, you're fine.
I'm going to have to edit this part of the podcast, I think. Peter, any other business before we finish?
No, I think my only thing going back to the OKR thing was I'm looking forward to seeing us compete with those top teams and really stake a claim. I'll make one last thing as well on the Max thing. There's 2 points on Max. Max is a good player going through a bit of a confidence, crisis or whatever else, or having a one-off game out of how many hundreds. And I'm going to quote a Ted Lasso thing: it's a matter of be curious, not judgmental. You don't know what's cost him that one kick that he missed and stuff like that. Support him. That's exactly the time to support him, not to criticise him. So he's a great player. We know that because we've seen it. Let's get behind him and make him a great player again.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening to episode 295 of the Wakefield Trinity Heritage Podcast. You can find us on podcasting platforms and social media platforms worldwide for further information and real-time updates on the podcast. Again, thank you, everybody, for subscribing and liking our YouTube channel as well. Massive thank you to my co-host, Lee Robinson, and our fabulous guests, Erin, Peter and Chris. We'll be back this weekend with the Trinity back chat after the Hull KR game. I have been Jamie Robinson, and we will catch you all down the road.